Okay, today we are going to make this cute little jack-o'-lantern Tealight holder. It's designed in Tinkercad for 3D printing, so I'm going to take you step by step through that process. Alright, so we're going to come on over to Tinkercad and create a new design. Alright, we're going to start with a simple cylinder that's going to form the body of our jack-o'-lantern. You're going to grab the little box on the corner here and resize it. I decided to make mine about 3.5 inches or 75 millimeters in width, and then just kind of pull up until you have a kind of happy jack-o'-lantern shape. And you can make it however you like. I like kind of squat little pumpkins, so we're going to go with that. We're going to adjust the thickness of the piece itself, putting it to about 5 millimeters, 1/4 inch for Americans. And that will give us something that's nice and solid, but won't take forever to print. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and create the little stem for on top. And for that, we're going to use the scribble tool. I just kind of start by outlining a little stem. Very easy to do. I'm no great artist, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And then go ahead and fill it in so I get a solid piece. If you don't like part of what you do, it's pretty easy to just erase it. Like you see, I just made a mistake right there, so I'll go back and fix that up. Fill in all my little gaps, makes it easy to see where they are. Click the eraser tool. I'm going to come in here and just correct what I did. Alright, so that looks pretty good. And you can have fun with it. You can make a little curly Q or whatever you want to do. It's up to you what kind of shape you want to give your stem and how fancy and how much time you want to spend on it. For now, I'm just going to kind of go with something fairly simple. And all these little imperfections you can always sand away when you finish your creation. So I'm going to hit done, and that imports the shape. I'm going to hit the home view so that I can kind of see where I am. I'm going to adjust the height to the same as my pumpkin, so 5 millimeters. And just for clarity, so I can keep track of what I'm doing, I'm going to change its color. Drag this down, kind of place it, and you see how I'm overlapping a little bit. And I do that so that when I group everything together later, they'll merge and I'll print as one part, because I'm going to print in just one color filament and then use permanent marker to color it, just to keep things simple. I'm going to add a little leaf, and to do that, I grab the heart, change its color just again so I remember what the heck it is I'm doing. I'm going to once again grab that top box and set it to 5, so it's the same thickness as everything else. Now, this looks much too heart-like, so I'm just going to kind of squish it a little bit so it looks a little bit more like a leaf. Kind of eyeball it, make it look something nice that you like. Then I'm going to use the flip function just to turn it over, so that, again, I've got more of that leaf shape. Take it on over here. I'm going to need to rotate it on an angle, and to do that, I'm going to select the correct axis. So you've got a rotate function for each of your axes. Okay, so there's our Y, there's your Z. You just kind of want to be careful that you're grabbing the right one. And I'm just going to rotate it until I like the look of it. And again, I'm going to bring it in, overlapping enough that it'll all print as one piece when it's done. Okay, so that's the basic of my little pumpkin. If you like a pumpkin, you want it for like Thanksgiving or something like that, you can kind of leave it just like that and call it a day. But I'm going to give my little jack-o'-lantern a face. Okay, to give our jack-o'-lantern a face, we're going to pull in the roof tool, okay, the roof shape, and we are going to rotate it so that the triangle portion is actually down on the mat. So to do that, again, we have to make sure we're grabbing the correct rotation. Okay, so here we have it. I'm going to put -90 because we're going to flip it backwards. Okay. Whenever you do this in the X direction, you're going to want to check, right? See how I am now below my work plane. Not a big deal for this since I am using it to basically cut all the way through a piece. But if I grab that little cone, that black cone, I can adjust it so it's on the work plane. You want that to read 0 so that you know it's laying right against the work plane, the same as the rest of my pieces. Alright, so now I've got a cute little triangle for my eye. I can adjust that to be the shape I like, and I'm going to make it a hole. Okay, I'm going to drag it over here onto my jack-o'-lantern, and let me give this a little rotation so it's straight. Make it easier for you to see. I'm not very good at that. Alright, so now I've got one eye. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the duplicate, and it's going to make a second eye. I'm going to use those little lines that it gives us. Did I do a good job? No. It needs to be fixed. Okay, so I've got my two little eyes now for my jack-o'-lantern. I'm going to move them up a little bit on his face, and I think I'm going to make them just a bit bigger. Oop, there we go. And kind of play with it until you've got it the way you like. Great, I've got eyes. I'm going to copy another one of these. Copy it, right? And then paste. And I'm going to put it here for his nose, but I'm going to make it smaller. Just again, kind of eyeball that, adjust it using those white squares. Okay, great. So now I've got eyes and nose on my face. To make the mouth, we're going to use a similar process. I'm going to pull over the round roof here. Okay, once again, I'm going to find my rotation. This time I'm going to flip it forward 90 degrees. I'm going to double check that it's on my work plane. I'm going to use that little black cone to pull it up until that reads 0, so I know it's on the work plane. Use the home button and take a look at what I've got. Okay. Remember, you can also zoom in and out if you want to get a better view. I am going to widen this a little bit, make it a little taller. Okay, so that's going to be a pretty good smile, but he's got no teeth, right? I want to give him some teeth. So what I'm going to do is grab a box, okay, pull that over. Just going to shape that so I've got kind of a tooth I like. I'm going to make that a hole. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate again and just slide it over until I've got two nice teeth kind of lined up like that. And you can play with it to get it just the way you like. When I group these two whole boxes plus my shape for my roof, hit the group tool up here, you can see what it did was it cut out the two shapes. So now I have a nice little mouth. Okay, and I can kind of position it on there. Does it look good? Do I like it? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. You could put another tooth on the bottom if you want. Once I create that, make that a hole, now I've got my whole face lined up. When I select all of it, and I hit group, my leaf and stem have melded into the base of my pumpkin, and I've got the cutouts for my face. Now, if you don't feel like going through and making your own face, or this face is a little too simple for you, I do have a group of jack-o'-lantern faces pieces already made that you can go ahead and grab off of Thingiverse. And to use those, I'm just going to switch to a different file real quick. All you need to do is drag in what you like. So you're going to import and choose a file. And I give you a PDF so you can see exactly what you're grabbing, but I kind of know these pretty well. So you can grab a set of eyes, import them, resize them as you want, and go through the same basic process. You're just going to make them holes, and when you group your different face pieces together, you'll have your cutout for your jack-o'-lantern. Okay? Alright, now we're going to make the little holder for the jack-o'-lantern that will have the tea light on it. This is a pretty simple thing to make. We're just going to pull in a box. Now, since my jack-o'-lantern was about 75 millimeters wide, I want to make something that is going to be wide enough to hold that. You can go the full 75 millimeters. I kind of cut it a little short just to make the print a little easier. So I went for 60. And I just made it a nice little square 60, and you can always adjust that. I did the same 5 millimeter height, so there we go. I'm just going to make it orange because it amuses me. So that's our base. We're going to add a hole for our tea light. Most tea lights in America are 1 inch to 1 1/4 inches in diameter. I went for 40 millimeters circle, so I had plenty of space to work with. I'm going to pull my hole over just like I did for the face pieces on my jack-o'-lantern, but I don't want it to go all the way through. Okay, so I'm going to need to adjust where it's sitting. Once I've kind of got it situated the way I like it, I'm going to use that little cone and I'm just going to pull it up 2 millimeters so that I'll have a thin layer on the base but an indent where I can put my tea light. And I'm just going to double check that I haven't shifted it too much on the X and Y. That looks pretty good. So when I group it, you can see that there's just a nice little indent now where I can place my tea light. I'm going to do the same thing for a ridge where I'm going to place my jack-o'-lantern. I'm going to make sure that it is the same width as my overall piece, just to make it easy to slide my jack-o'-lantern in and out, so it's 60. As far as the width, you can make it exactly 5 millimeters because you know that the thickness of your jack-o'-lantern is 5 millimeters. I made it just a little bit more, just in case I get any kind of warping or anything like that. But you don't want to make it too much more because then it's going to wobble. So I just did a thickness of 5.5, and that seemed to work out really well. You can put a little dab of glue or whatever if you need to. So just going to drag that right here. I don't want to, leave a whole lot of space in front of where my jack-o'-lantern is going to be. But I want to give a little bit of space between my tea light and my jack-o'-lantern. And keep in mind, I'm talking about an electric tea light here, not an actual flaming tea light, because that will potentially melt your plastic, and you don't want that. Now the same thing I did for my indent here, I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this little cone, pull it up 2 millimeters, like that. Make sure I still got it where I want it. Great. Go ahead and group. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Very simple little thing to build, pretty multi-purpose. Make sure you give it a nice name. So I'm calling it Tealight Base. And of course, for those that aren't maybe familiar with Tinkercad, you're just going to export your shape. I usually do STL. And in the case of anyone working with me, you can send it to the Warren County Library. My email address there is 3dprint@warrenlib.org, and we can work out printing for you through the library on your library card. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this and learned a little bit. I hope that you make lots of really cool little tea light holders and light up your house for Halloween. Thanks.